Channel 11 News, winner of the prestigious Emmy Award for News Excellence. Channel 11 News is news coverage you can count on. Channel 11 News starts with severe weather Team 11 coverage.
It's been a devastating 24 hours since the storm strike. Images of a twister like the one behind me right now being replaced by new pictures and video, and Darieth has that. Darieth?
And David, today we really had a chance to take a good look at the damage. You can see here from Chopper 11, home after home with roofs ripped off, yards and pools torn to pieces. The real power of Mother Nature at work. The cleanup now is just beginning in Westmoreland County. And here is the very latest. Today, the National Weather Service confirmed an EF2 tornado with 120-mile-per-hour winds hit Westmoreland County. At least 90 homes are either damaged or destroyed. There are reports of injuries, but most are minor. And we're waiting for the Hempfield School District to decide if there will be class tomorrow. The storm tore a path through several communities in Westmoreland County. And tonight we're on the scene of several of the hardest hit places. From the community of Wilton through Arona, and finally on to Fort Allen in Hempfield Township. We're hearing different stories of loss and survival. We have live Team 11 coverage tonight, beginning with Channel 11's Courtney Brennan in the heart of that Fort Allen neighborhood where so many homes have been damaged and destroyed. Courtney?
Darieth, today was our first day to get a look at the full scope of this damage. You can see the enormous tree that was uprooted behind me basically demolished this gentleman's yard, and his home right there is cut in half. His kitchen and his living room exposed to the elements. As we made our way down Fosterville Road here in Fort Allen, every home told a different story. This one to my left, the entire top half of the home is missing. Across the street, that house is missing its roof, and the massive cleanup effort that started this morning will continue for weeks to come.
Officially an EF2 tornado on the Fujita scale that ranges from 0 to 5. Maximum sustained winds with this storm, 120 miles per hour. You can see the devastating damage it did in its 6 to 7 mile path. Now, it was sporadic. It did go up and down a little bit, but basically from Realton all the way to here in Fort Allen, it was a destructive tornado. Fred McMullen from the National Weather Service says not all damage like this necessarily means it was a tornado, but this one had some telltale signs.
Target 11 investigator Rick Earl discovered that at least 5 people there were hurt in the storm. One of them has an amazing story to tell us tonight. Rick joins us live with this survival story, and it's one you'll see only on 11. Rick.
Yeah, Darieth, everywhere you turn here, there's destruction and debris. Take a look to my left. You can see lumber and trees down littering this yard. There's also some insulation here, some shingles as well, all over this place. Take a look to my right here. You can see this is actually a roof that was blown off of a building about 50 yards behind us. And if you look right across the street right there, you can see that trailer. It actually flipped over. Now, earlier today, I talked to a man who was inside a trailer just like that when the tornado blew him away.
I'm okay. I got very sore, hips and just stiff, real stiff.
74-year-old Joe Bukowski is recovering at his home in Arona after a harrowing experience Wednesday afternoon. Take a look in his driveway, the back of his pickup truck several feet in the air, and the camping trailer connected to the pickup now on its side. Bukowski was actually inside the trailer getting it ready for vacation when the tornado blew in and flipped it.
So the floor became the wall, and I went down and hit the cabinets. I flew across the trailer.
We want to take you out to Chopper 11, which is flying high live over the flash flooding along Washington Boulevard. We got some reports of drivers getting stuck in more than 4 feet of water there. Now, this is near the Allegheny River Boulevard by the zoo. As you can see, that looks like a red car there to the left and a minivan of some sort, or SUV, that's stuck as well. This looks pretty deep here. Obviously, these cars are almost submerged as this water is continuing to rise. Apparently, this area has been a problem in the past. In fact, when we got some heavy rain a few months ago, several cars were trapped then. And as you can see now, this condition is pretty bad and, in fact, may be worsening.
We just spoke to a woman who says she was driving down Washington Boulevard. All of a sudden, the water swallowed up her car. She actually had to get on the roof of her vehicle and then swim to safety. It's an incredible scene taking place right now on Washington Boulevard. Let's go right to Chopper 11. These are live pictures as rescue workers there are trying to rescue people trapped in vehicles. As many as 6 vehicles swallowed up, stranded by this rising water when the rain came down, torrential rains this afternoon, and trapping these cars and these vehicles there. We understand right at this hour, right at this moment, those rescue crews are working to rescue those people out of these vehicles. Again, 6 vehicles trapped in this rising water. And this is that same area that flooded about a month ago. You see our ground video right there, just shot a short time ago. Another rescue crew there paddling to these cars, checking these vehicles out. That is the woman standing right there with that blue blanket around her. She is a woman we talked to who was on top of her vehicle and had to swim to safety. Here's what she had to say about this afternoon.
We were traveling fine. Water was probably up to the bumpers of some of the smaller cars, but I was in an SUV, so I was like, okay. And then the road just opened up. I mean, just opened up, and a white car sunk. This big red pickup truck went under, and then water started coming in my doors. I called 911. They said try to swim for it. The water by that point was over my head. It started coming in, so I climbed to the roof, and then the car, started going under.
With breaking news.
A man on the run for more than a decade in a standoff with police and the FBI in Verona. Officers told our chopper to leave the area because a man has a high-powered long-range rifle.
And neighbors are being told to leave their homes because the situation there is so dangerous. We have live Team 11 coverage starting with Channel 11's Renee Kaminsky near that scene in Verona. Renee?
Peggy, there is a huge police presence here. I've never seen anything like it. It pays to get here first as far as media is concerned. We have a great vantage point. Let me show you where it is all unfolding. Right up at the 400 block of Center Avenue. You have a great shot of that right now. It's beyond that stone church you see on the right.
The FBI says the standoff ended peacefully. Agents did not have to go into the house. Frank Perez Jr. surrendered this afternoon. Let's take a look at some video of Perez being taken away by federal agents about a half hour ago. The 30-year-old earlier today fired shots from both the front and back of that house on Center Avenue.
Chaos unfolds on Penn State's campus overnight. Students riot after head coach Joe Paterno is fired. Much more on that in a moment. Good morning to you. 6 o'clock right now, Thursday, November 10th. I'm Jennifer Abney along with Todd McDermott. And again, we'll have much more out-of-state college for you throughout the morning.
Thanks, and pray a little bit for those victims.
He said pray for those victims. We've been following breaking news overnight as Penn State's Board of Trustees fires head coach Joe Paterno and the university president Graham Spanier in the wake of the child sex abuse scandal there. Paterno and his wife addressed a crowd outside their home late last night. We're covering every angle of this major breaking story with a team of reporters in State College and here in Pittsburgh.
Our photographers were in the middle of all of it when the riots broke out. Now here's what happened. We heard about a news truck that was overturned, so we went down to get video of that. Our photographers went down the street to get that. Courtney, Brent, and I actually stayed in our news vans to make sure nothing happened to them. While our photographers were down there, they were hit with mace, they were hit with mud, and they were hit with water bottles. Finally, a Penn State student came up the street and told us we better get out of there because they may overturn other cars. Courtney and I actually left the scene. We were able to meet up with our photographers a short time later, but they described an extremely chaotic scene down the street. We saw it as well. At certain times, people came running up to us. A very difficult night at Penn State.
Channel 11 News 11 at 11 starts with breaking news.
Tires, hundreds of them, covered in a sticky, gooey substance, leaving driver after driver stuck along a 30-mile stretch of the Pennsylvania Turnpike tonight. The call started coming into our newsroom just after 8 o'clock tonight.
And now, more than 3 hours later, we can tell you the Turnpike is still a mess tonight. This spill stretched from the Route 60 exit in Beaver County to the Route 28 exit in Harmer. We have live Team 11 coverage. Gordon Lesh tracked down the truck that caused the big spill. But we begin tonight with Julie Fine, who talked to drivers caught in this mess. She joins us live in Cranberry Township. Julie?
Well, we want to show you right here behind us, this tow truck. We've been seeing them all night here in this gas station. What's also here at this gas station, this tar left over from the cars.
Now, we found the truck and the driver here at the Oakmont Plum Plaza off the Turnpike, just off Route 28. Take a look just behind me. That is the tanker truck that is responsible for this huge mess tonight. It says East Stewart Mitchell Company from Baltimore, Maryland on the side, but the Turnpike Commission tells us it's actually the MTS Transport Company out of Maryland. And the slogan on the side, cover it with asphalt. That's an unfortunate slogan considering this substance covered so many vehicles and has caused so many problems tonight. But you can see where it's leaking from. The state police trooper who pulled this tank trucker over on the turnpike, his vehicle also covered with tar tonight. He did great work getting the truck off the turnpike, but obviously his car was so badly damaged it had to be towed away from this lot.
The snow started here in Cranberry about 3 o'clock. We've been pulled over about 10 minutes. You can see it's already covering our cars. Take a walk with me right here. We're going to show you Route 228 in a minute, but we want to show you exactly how much snow has already fallen here in our area. Take a look at this picnic table. That's about an inch of snow already, so it's coming down at a pretty good clip. Take a look at Route 228. We're talking rush hour, and we are talking traffic, and we are talking jammed up.
That's a live look at 279 here on the Parkway North as traffic is slowly leaving the city here tonight in this snowstorm. And if you take a look on this side, right in front of the Channel 11 studios, nothing but tail lights there. You see those red tail lights where cars are trying to get up Evergreen Road. So
tires spinning and cars stranded. Roads so dangerous they were closed. A quick burst of snow quickly piling up on the roads. Busy McKnight Road at a standstill. Drivers stranded for more than an hour.
There was a bunch of cars pulled over here, so we figured let's start pushing one at a time over the hill.
Well, this is where we're being kept right now. I'm going to get out of the way so you can see what's going on here. We are about 100 feet from the Dairy Queen. We just recently heard from Dan Stevens from Emergency Services in Westmoreland County. He did say that this officer was on duty and that this did happen outside of the Dairy Queen. Now, here's what we've learned so far. Our news partners from the Tribune Review and the Valley News Dispatch have been working the story tonight as well. Early reports that this officer was ambushed here at the Dairy Queen and then the shooter then committed suicide.
People all across Pittsburgh felt the earth move from IUP to Mount Lebanon. We heard a lot of buildings being evacuated. We were there as people emptied out of the Allegheny and Frick buildings along Forbes Avenue downtown. Some people who were on the lower floors told us they didn't feel a thing. People on the higher floors, though, felt the chairs and the desks move.
Doing my job, and all of a sudden it just started shaking. I thought somebody was playing a little prank or something, you know?
I kind of felt like I was getting sick, and the woman who works next to me said the same thing, so I looked out and we could out the window, and you could tell the building was shaking.
With breaking news.
Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of al-Qaeda, and a terrorist who's responsible for the murder of thousands of innocent men, women, and children.
Breaking news you just heard live tonight. News that America has been waiting for 10 years for. Osama bin Laden is dead. We've been working to get details on the impact of the announcement and the reaction to it for you tonight. The president made the announcement a short time ago that bin Laden was killed today, and the United States has his body.
Child predators are very savvy. They know how to get personal information from your kids.
Yes, they do. Target 11 investigator Rick Earl learned that they operate online and tells you what you need to know to protect your children. Rick, this is really frightening stuff.
Peggy and David, very frightening indeed. Now, we got a rare glimpse behind the scenes as detectives actually go undercover online searching for predators. We also went inside a private internet security company that works hand in hand with police, helping them track down pedophiles. These are actual pedophiles at work right now online.
Yes, they're downloading and trading.
We watched as internet security expert Rick Wallace from his office in Cranberry tracked pedophiles on LimeWire, downloading child pornography. And this is all illegal, right?
Absolutely.
And right as we're sitting here right now, this is what's actually going on, real time.
Yes.
Wallace then showed us how he can pinpoint their exact locations.
New York, Saudi Arabia, New York, Ontario, and Florida.
Is there an effort by law enforcement to go after these folks?
Absolutely. Law enforcement all over the United States, in fact all over the world, are actively pursuing individuals that are trading these movies.
And investigators are also actively pursuing predators online.
Come on in.
Allegheny County District Attorney Stephen Zappala took us inside the cyber forensics lab, where every day detectives go undercover posing as teenage girls.
I have logged into Yahoo Messenger, and I am currently a 13-year-old girl.
It's 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and minutes later,
this individual here is 44 from Pittsburgh.
The request,
43 male Philly area teacher,
begin pouring in.
Now he wants me to go to his webcam and see, and he knows that I'm a 13-year-old girl.
Channel 11 News, the News Excellence Emmy Award winner.
Wireless networks make using your laptop convenient no matter where you are, but there is a disturbing trend that could put your private information at risk.
All a hacker needs is a laptop and a wireless network card to steal your identity. Target 11 consumer investigator Robin Taylor explains.
Well, you know, we lock our doors, we install motion detector lights, we may even have a security system to keep thieves out. But when it comes to our computers, we often leave the door wide open for cyber criminals.
First stop sign will make a right at the second stop sign.
We went for a drive with a computer security expert to find out how easy it would be for a cyber thief to break into a business or a home. And it didn't take long for us to find plenty of Wi-Fi hotspots.
We're probably somewhere around 150 that we've found so far.
Computer geeks call this war driving. It's when you drive around searching for wireless networks. There's nothing illegal about it unless you try to hack into the computers on the system.
So let's say you're a bad guy. What would you do with that information?
Once we make a wireless connection to their network, we have just as much access to that information as a computer that's inside their office.
That's kind of scary, isn't it?
It is scary for those businesses.
Lloyd Wolf told me the hacker doesn't need a sophisticated computer program or a great deal of knowledge. He just needs to park outside and log on to the network.
Here there are lots of professional buildings, lawyers, engineering firms.
Some of the Wi-Fi networks were locked up tight, but many weren't. On our short drive, we also passed through a residential neighborhood where we found another 100 Wi-Fi networks.
Could what happened at a track meet 25 years ago help investigators in their search for missing Cherry Mahan? Target 11 travels to Michigan to track down a brand new lead in the case.
Live, local, late breaking. This is Channel 11 News. News coverage you can count on.
She vanished 26 years ago, but tonight Target 11 has uncovered a new lead in the Cherry Mahan case, and it's a surprising one. The 8-year-old girl got off her school bus and was never seen again.
But Target 11 investigator Rick Earl has learned that police are now interested in getting DNA from a woman to see if she may be the missing girl. This information took Rick from Butler County, where Cherry Mahan disappeared, all the way to the state of Michigan. And Rick, we understand you've been working on this for the past 2 months now.
That's right, David. A long time indeed. State police are now taking this very seriously. In fact, they just told Cherry Mahan's mom about this new lead today. This tip led us all the way to Michigan. Right off the bat, I want to say the woman says she's not Cherry Mahan. But tonight, police have a lot of questions and interviews to do, bringing this case right back to life after all these years. 8-year-old Cherry Mahan was last seen getting off a school bus near her home in Cabot on February 22, 1985. Witnesses said she may have gotten into a blue van with a skier mural painted on the side. She hasn't been seen since. Or has she? State police tell us they are now tracking a possible sighting of the girl that happened months after she vanished. That girl is now a woman living in a small Michigan community. Target 11 traveled to that town in Michigan to track down the source of that information.
I couldn't answer that for sure. I certainly wish I could help you.
After finding the woman who claims she may have seen Cherry Mahan, we asked her many times about what she could remember about that possible sighting so long ago. She was vague at first, but then the interview took a strange turn.
If you shut that off, I'll tell you something.
Okay. We did, and it starts with her claim that she saw a van at a high school track meet matching the description of the van in Cherry's case. Sometime after that track meet, she saw a flyer of missing Cherry Mahan in the store. She called the number on the flyer, left a message, but never heard back. She was so concerned that she tracked down Cherry's mom and even called her. That was all 26 years ago, but only now the details are emerging of her elaborate story. And police tell us they'll look into everything in their new search. We took all of our information we learned on our interviews to state police, showed them pictures and video last week. They tell us they get calls and emails about sightings periodically, but in this case, the main thing they want now is evidence, and that means DNA. That would definitely rule out any connection between this woman in Michigan and Cherry Mahan.
It's very interesting, and you know, there's questions that have been posed to us that we need to find the answers to. So we'll work as quickly as we can to get those answers.
Cuffed and charged. And a former Penn State coach isn't the only one involved in a sex crimes investigation. The major school leaders who also face charges tonight. Major developments on a big story that we've been following. Exclusive video from our sister station WJAC as former Penn State coach and Washington, Pennsylvania native Jerry Sandusky is arrested today on child sex charges. And he's not the only one. This investigation now includes high-ranking officials at Penn State. Plus, we've learned what Joe Paterno knew about it. Here's what's new in the case tonight. Sandusky was arrested today on charges of sexually abusing 8 boys. The state attorney general's office says he met the victims through his involvement in the Second Mile, an organization that operates programs for young people. The AG's office says Sandusky used his position within the university to prey on young boys. The investigation started after a mother of one of the children reported the allegations. The state attorney general investigation then found accusations as far back as 7 years, including cases Penn State officials allegedly knew about. Athletic director Tim Curley is charged with perjury and failure to report, as is Vice President for Finance and Business Gary Schultz.
2 top high-ranking Penn State administrators, including the athletic director, stepped down overnight and face arraignment today amid sex abuse allegations.
Channel 11's Kara Sapida has been following this story all morning long. She joins us now with those new developments. Kara.
Jennifer, these top 2 officials are the athletic director and the vice president. Both are now being charged, accused of lying and covering up these sex crimes against young boys instead of reporting them to police. The athletic director is Tim Curley, the vice president Gary Schultz. They're expected to turn themselves in later today in Harrisburg, accused of covering up for former defensive coordinator Jerry Sandusky. Sandusky was arraigned this weekend. He's charged with sexually abusing 8 young boys starting in 1994 and as recent as 2009.
This is not a case about football. It's a case about children who have had their innocence stolen from them.
Big new developments in the Penn State sex abuse scandal. We're there as more arrests are made.
And we're finding out where Joe Paterno figures in all this.
2 top-ranking officials surrender to police in the Penn State sex abuse scandal that has made national headlines. Investigators say they knew about the suspected child abuse by a former coach and didn't tell anyone. David?
Well, Peggy, at the center of this investigation is Jerry Sandusky, but today 2 Penn State administrators above him turned themselves in. Athletic director Tim Curley and senior vice president Gary Schultz, not only accused of covering up the alleged abuse, but lying to a grand jury about it. This is such a major story. We sent Channel 11's Courtney Brennan from Pittsburgh to Harrisburg to cover these latest and new developments.
David, earlier this afternoon, just a few miles from the Capitol here in Harrisburg, 2 very prominent, very high-ranking Penn State administrators surrendered and appeared in front of a district judge on very serious charges. And there was an absolute onslaught of photographers and reporters. And as soon as these 2 men got out of their cars, we were on them and asking questions about these allegations. Anything to say about these charges? It was a media firestorm this afternoon, and we were at the front of it. Anything to say, Mr. Curley? 2 high-ranking Penn State administrators were arraigned on charges that they covered up an explosive child sex scandal involving a former football coach.
Their inaction likely allowed a child predator to continue to victimize children for many, many years.
Investigators say athletic director Tim Curley and senior vice president Gary Schultz failed to report suspected child abuse by former defensive coordinator Jerry Sandusky.
This is a case about a sexual predator accused of using his position within the community and the university to prey on numerous young boys for more than a decade.
Attorney General Linda Kelly says Curley and Schultz had been told of at least 1 instance where a grad assistant reported that Sandusky sexually assaulted a naked boy in the team locker room shower. Kelly says the 2 administrators never attempted to learn the identity of the child in the shower, and that Curley denied the assistant's report, saying Sandusky was merely horsing around.
What about Joe Paterno? Well, we know he's not facing any charges, but Rick Earl continues our live Team 11 coverage with more on the answer to that question. Rick?
Yeah, David, while there are a lot of questions swirling around Joe Paterno's involvement, the state attorney general says Paterno is not a target of the investigation into the handling of the sex abuse accusations. Now, what did Joe Paterno know, and did he do enough to stop it? Those are some of the questions being asked today. Investigators said Paterno followed the proper procedures when he became aware of the allegation, reporting them to the two top administrators. But investigators say that information was never relayed to authorities.
I'm Sidney Crosby, Sid the Kid, the league's leading scorer, and I love playing outside.
With being outside, I think with a bigger stage, it brings out even more.
I'm Malcolm. Gino! I played outside since I was little.
Play with my brother and my father.
Here's Malkin coming in.
Every day, I mean, 5 years old.
I'm Max Silver. I'm a superstar! I never back down.
Obviously, you want to be the best player.
Today we get to be kids again. Today we get to be kids again.
Big kids and big game.
We're watching 11 on the ice. You're watching 11 on the ice at the Winter Classic.
Chopper 11 live over Heinz Field. It's a very special hockey night in Pittsburgh. The primetime matchup between the Capitals and the Penguins is just 2 hours away. The gates at Heinz Field opened 30 minutes ago. More than 60,000 fans will be coming through the turnstiles to witness this historic hockey game. The game's been built up as Crosby versus Ovechkin. But the big story all week, of course, has been the rink on Heinz Field. The rink is holding up in this unseasonably warm weather. Happy New Year, everyone, 2011. Boys, it's a big night. Great to be with you. I'm David Johnson, joined by, of course, Albie Oxenreider and John Fedko.
And we are counting down the minutes to the Winter Classic.
We will be live inside and outside the stadium with the fans.
And, of course, we're tracking the weather and the conditions on the ice. Also, we sit down one-on-one with the Penguins goaltender, Marc-Andre Fleury, to talk about his amazing run recently after that slow start. We will show you how the grass at Heinz Field was transformed into the ice rink that will hopefully hold up in the warmth and the rain. Hopefully no more rain. And Dan Bilesma goes one-on-one with our Bill Phillips to talk about the concept he calls Our Game. And the old 2-9er Phil Bourque will join us live to break down the Penguins clash with the Capitals that takes place, I said, just 2 hours from now. First, the forecast. It's been the story all week, and meteorologist Scott Harbaugh called it. He's tracking the rain that's moved through the area. Scott.
You got to love when a plan comes together. Rain this morning pretty much came to an end early to mid-afternoon. As anticipated now, just a quick shower across a spot or two. Storm tracker, Doppler 11 radar, still one more shower to get through. You can see it on the radar. Basically, that's going to blow through, generally light stuff. Then by game time, we're in pretty good shape. So the forecast for the game looks like this. 39 degrees when the puck drops shortly after 8 o'clock. There still could be a sprinkle or a stray shower in the area, but for the most part, we're dry for the game. 37 for second period, 36 for the third period, and again, mostly cloudy skies throughout the night. But
I talked with Sidney Crosby about facing Ovechkin and the rivalry between the Caps and Penguins.
Yeah, I would say I think both teams, realize that these games and the games against one another bring out the best in each team, and I don't think that's by fluke. I mean, both teams want to win, and with it being a big event like this, with it being outside, I think with a bigger stage, it brings out even more. So that's what we'd expect from them, and I'm sure they expect from us.
How do you not, having gone through it for about a month now, how do you not look ahead to that game? How has that been? You guys have been able to be on a winning streak and focus on each game, but to not get carried away looking just at this one game?
Well, I think you just have to realize it's a process, and you want to be playing good hockey leading up to that point. That's an important thing. So I think it's pretty easy not to get caught up in it, and you know that when time comes to play, you'll be ready and excited for it, and it shouldn't take much to get your heart into that one. So I think, for us, we just want to make sure leading up to that we're playing good hockey and prepare accordingly.
As much as it is about the teams, yourself and Alexander have taken center stage, as it always seems to happen when the two teams play each other. What do you respect about his game, how he plays, and is there anything, do you look at any other player, something, I wouldn't mind stealing that move and doing that? How do you look at him, and what do you think about his game?
No, I just think he's really competitive. I think that's the thing that sticks out, to me the most, and whether they're winning, losing, whatever the situation, you can tell every shift he wants to be the best, and he's ready to compete in whatever type of game that is. So that's something I see from him. And as for his skills, I mean, what sticks out for me is probably his shot. You know, he's got a great shot. He shoots from everywhere, and you know, he's dangerous from all over the offensive zone. So I would say that his competitive level and his shot are two things that make him really good.
I'd imagine if you guys were playing checkers against each other, it would be, I'm going to beat him, I'm going to find a way to beat him. As big as this game is, because it takes center stage in the middle of the season, is this, I mean, the playoffs and Stanley Cup, it's different, but because it's the game on New Year's Day, does it become a must-win game, even though it's a regular season game, but because it's so big?
I think there's a little bit extra there for sure, extra incentive from both sides, but you know, like I said, it's like any game where you're leading up to it, you want to be playing well, you want to give yourself the best chance to go out there and be your best.
Look at it. Welcome back to 11 on the ice, and yes, the noise level has picked up a bit. The Pittsburgh Penguins and Washington Capitals have taken to the ice for their pregame warm-ups here at Heinz Field. The Winter Classic is only 35 minutes away, and the crowd at Heinz Field, well, it's loud right now, and with me is a person responsible for bringing the game here, Steelers president Art Rooney. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Albie. It's great. It's a great night in Pittsburgh.
Did you ever imagine, Art, that you would have this kind of atmosphere for something other than football and your Steelers here at Heinz Field?
Well, when we first started talking about having the Penguins here, we thought it could be pretty special. So it turned out to be a great night. Might have been better that it got moved to prime time.
It maybe is a blessing in disguise because the crowd has almost taken on kind of a football feel. I think maybe, is it safe to say that Penguin fans will sound like Steeler fans tonight in their numbers and their noise?
Sure, and I can see there are a lot of terrible towels out there, so it's going to feel like a football game.
Counting down to kickoff, we are less than 24 hours until the big game as Pittsburgh goes for a record 7th Super Bowl title.
We have what you can't buy, which is legacy.
The drive to 45 started with the Steelers star quarterback suspended and the team's prospects unknown.
We've been questioning this all year. No one gave Pittsburgh any respect.
After a 12-4 regular season and victories against the Ravens and the Jets, the Steelers now prepare to take on the Green Bay Packers Sunday night when one team will be crowned Super Bowl champions. The Jerome Bettis Show, sponsored by S&T Bank, starts right now.
Good evening, live outside Cowboys Stadium. I'm Albie Oxenrider, and welcome to this special live edition of the Jerome Bettis Show from Super Bowl 45. Let's start tonight with the breaking news on Jerome Bettis and the Hall of Fame. No-go this time for Jerome Bettis.
Jerome, this is going to be the 3rd Super Bowl appearance, possible 3rd title in 6 years. Is this a dynasty? A lot of core players still around. You would be a part of it.
Absolutely. This is definitely a dynasty, not because I was a part of it, but because when you're able to control 3 Super Bowl trophies in 6 years. That means, one out of every 2 you had a part in. And so because of that, you've got to, consider, this team and this organization, the best in football.
Our crews have been in Dallas all week as the city gets ready for the Super Bowl in the middle of a winter storm. Let's go live to Channel 11 News anchor Jennifer Abney and Channel 11 Sports Director Albie Oxenrider for the very latest on the winter blast and the final preparations for tomorrow's big game. Take it away, guys.
Thanks so much, Peggy. Well, it's a lot more comfortable tonight. Certainly not tropical temperatures, but compared to what we had earlier this week, it is a whole lot better. And I think that the entire mood around this compound and around the stadium have improved because it's back to getting close to Dallas weather.
Well, we have blue skies and sunshine today, but that's not the way our week started off. Tuesday morning, Albie, when we started our live show, we started out in rain, then we had sleet, and before the morning was over, we dealt with snow.
Now, the Black and Gold Zone postgame by Dick's Sporting Goods.
Good evening and welcome to our continuing post-game Super Bowl coverage on Fox 53 and Channel 11. I'm Darius Chisholm along with David Johnson.
Well, the final was not what we wanted.
31-25. The Green Bay Packers are now the Super Bowl champions, but it was an amazing comeback by the Steelers. It looked like it could be a blowout by the Pack. It didn't happen, but what also didn't happen was a 7th title for Pittsburgh. Let's throw it out to Albie auction writer and Jennifer Abney in Dallas. Guys.
Thanks so much, David and Darius. Well, we were very similar surroundings a couple years ago, but it's obviously a different situation. There's the celebration this time, but it's the other guys celebrating. I think that the best thing I can say is the Steelers went into this game knowing that they were the underdogs, but at the same time, they felt that they had a good chance of winning this game if they played their game. They didn't play their game with 3 costly turnovers. I'm going to give you an interesting statistic before I let Jennifer give her impressions of the way it ended. Teams with 3 or more takeaways in the Super Bowl are 31-4. If you can be the team taking the ball away, you're going to win most of the time in this game. The Steelers knew if they played their game, they could beat the Packers, but they dug themselves an early hole, and the Packers scored 21 points off of turnovers, and in the end, it was too much to overcome.
It's not fun, you know. I hate to lose. Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to. I mean, people like that just play with grit and determination. I mean, we've got guys that, like Chris Kiamatu, who's got he's cramping in both legs, but yet he still gets out there in the last couple of drives. We've got guys that just are not going to quit fighting. Mike Wallace hurts his shoulder early on. I mean, we've got so many things that bang us up. Emmanuel Sanders does something to his foot and can't play the rest of the game. You just gotta. Guys have to step up, and they did that, and that's why I'm so proud of these guys, because you know, you've got leaders like Hines that no matter what, you know, just keeps taking shots, but just keeps getting up and keeps fighting to win.
We're in Bloomfield right now. We're going to zoom right in to an area where firefighters just moved in and they're putting out a couch fire right beneath us here off of Friendship Avenue. You see the number of firefighters right there on the scene. This is, of course, the 2nd couch fire that we've seen in the last 10 minutes. Pittsburgh firefighters just about 2 blocks away from where we are now put one out about 5 or 10 minutes ago. They were cruising back to the station and diverted to this area right here where they just put out another couch fire. So 2 of them within the past 10 minutes. Of course, these are the first 2 incidents that we've seen all night. When we were over on Carson Street on the south side above that area, people were leaving in an orderly fashion. But right now, again, we have seen 2 couch fires in the Friendship area. This is Friendship Avenue. This is right near West Penn Hospital. We're actually right behind West Penn Hospital. And we are now over top of this area, and we're actually looking for some other activity just off to my left right now. Again, firefighters just put out the couch fire. There were 2 of them within the last 10 minutes. Arson investigators are on the scene. We understand that Pittsburgh police are going to stay in this area as well because they are fearing there may be more couches set on fire. Of course, last week, Pittsburgh housing inspectors spent the day touring Oakland, making sure there were no couches in that area so they couldn't set them on fire like they did 2 years ago after the Super Bowl celebrations. There's some more police activity right now below us in the same area here at West Penn Hospital. We'll continue to keep an eye on this. Send it back to you guys now.
All right, Rick, thank you. Now we want to take you live to the scene in Oakland on the ground there, where obviously a lot of people have come out of the bars.
James Harrison, starting linebacker for the Steelers, Super Bowl 45. James, obviously the game didn't go the way you had hoped. Did they do anything that surprised you or caught you guys off guard?
No, not really. You know, they came out and they basically did the things that we'd expected them to do. You know, they executed better than we did. You know, their defense played better than our defense did. You know, they got turnovers and we didn't.
Amazing stories of survival after the storm strike.
We all curled in a ball and just prayed. From the air and on the ground.
Unbelievable. Like the Wizard of Oz movie.
We're with the victims and the National Weather Service as they survey the damage in the tornado disaster zone.
Plus a former officer on the other side of the law. Why he and his girlfriend are in trouble after a sex sting.
And cooking up trouble with kids inside, we're there for a big bust. A lot to cover tonight.
Channel 11 News at 5 starts right now.
Live, local, late breaking. Broadcasting in high definition. Channel 11 News starts with severe weather Team 11 coverage.
It's been a devastating 24 hours since the storm strike. Images of a twister like the one behind me right now being replaced by new pictures and video. And Darieth has that. Darieth?
And David, today we really had a chance to take a good look at the damage. You can see here from Chopper 11, home after home with roofs ripped off, yards and pools torn to pieces. The real power of Mother Nature at work. The cleanup now is just beginning in Westmoreland County. And here is the very latest. Today, the National Weather Service confirmed an EF2 tornado with 120-mile-per-hour winds hit Westmoreland County. At least 90 homes are either damaged or destroyed. There are reports of injuries, but most are minor. And we're waiting for the Hempfield School District to decide if there will be class tomorrow. The storm tore a path through several communities in Westmoreland County. And tonight we're on the scene of several of the hardest hit places. From the community of Wilton through Arona, and finally on to Fort Allen in Hempfield Township. We're hearing different stories of loss and survival. We have live Team 11 coverage tonight, beginning with Channel 11's Courtney Brennan in the heart of that Fort Allen neighborhood where so many homes have been damaged and destroyed. Courtney?
Darieth, today was our first day to get a look at the full scope of this damage. You can see the enormous tree that was uprooted behind me basically demolished this gentleman's yard, and his home right there is cut in half. His kitchen and his living room exposed to the elements. As we made our way down Fosterville Road here in Fort Allen, every home told a different story. This one to my left, the entire top half of the home is missing. Across the street, that house is missing its roof, and the massive cleanup effort that started this morning will continue for weeks to come.
This actually is our kitchen here, and our dining room and our living room pretty much got the worst of it.
Jason Dilley and his wife were supposed to move into this house on Fosterville Road this weekend, but only half of their home is still standing.
They were pretty much all new, about a year old. All of our appliances are pretty much gone now, and a lot of our wedding gifts and everything that we got from our wedding.
The tornado split the home in two. Their furniture is now a pile of wood chips. Their bathroom is unrecognizable. And yet the 3 bedrooms in the back are spotless.
I don't even think there's a crack in the wall. It's simply amazing.
What was also amazing and very scary were the enormous trees uprooted in the backyard. They smashed everything in their path.
It happened to fall into our pool, and it took out our whole entire fence and our shed back here. So it pretty much got everything we owned.
The Dilleys are just one of many families in this Fort Allen neighborhood digging out after this tornado. Donna Ross and her daughter were home when it hit. They took us inside for a quick tour.
And it just split the walls here. That's knocked everything, boom, came forward on the walls.
The damage was extensive, but not one life was lost in this neighborhood. No one was even hurt. But the destruction will be costly, and for some, the sheer memory of that tornado will haunt them for quite a while.
I actually didn't even want to come back. I mean, it's horrible to say because we have the least amount of damage compared to everybody around us. But yeah, it's indescribable. I mean, just rubble everywhere.
And we are standing inside that home that we showed you in the piece. I am in the Dilley's kitchen that is exposed to the elements. Their entire property is basically destroyed, as well as the properties on the left and the right of them. They told me earlier today they hope to bulldoze this property if they can, have a fresh start and build a brand new home. Reporting live in Fort Allen, Courtney Brennan, Channel 11 News.
And let's get you another perspective here. You can see just how bad the situation is in Fort Allen. If you compare images taken before and after the tornado, in this case, The roof is gone, and you can see inside the top floor of the house. Just amazing. Now take a look at two homes on Fosterville Road and the damage they suffered. Debris covers the yard, and even the backyard pool is smashed up. And take a look at another one of the homes missing a roof. We used a satellite image to get the before pictures. Finally, a look at what happened to several homes along that same road. The home on the right doesn't look like it had too much damage compared to its next door neighbor.
And the cleanup is on at nearby Hempfield High School. All schools in that district were closed today. School leaders were expected to make a decision about school tomorrow by 4 today, but that hasn't happened as of yet. Students who were at the high school when the storm hit posted this video on YouTube. They watched the funnel get very close before taking cover inside the building. We're taking a look at more of the damage at the school in our next half an hour, so don't go away. Before hitting Fort Allen, the tornado ripped through the community of Rilton. Some people there lost their homes, but tell us they're lucky to have their lives.
Something you see on TV that you'd never imagine in a million years would happen to you. And people take life for granted.
This woman's entire family escaped without injury, but their home, as you see, is a total loss. And today we learned just how powerful and big this tornado was. Channel 11 Scott Harbaugh walked with the National Weather Service as they determined the twister's path.
Officially an EF2 tornado on the Fujita scale that ranges from 0 to 5. Maximum sustained winds with this storm, 120 miles per hour. You can see the devastating damage it did in its 6 to 7 mile path. Now, it was sporadic. It did go up and down a little bit, but basically from Rilton all the way to here in Fort Allen, it was a destructive tornado. Fred McMullen from the National Weather Service says not all damage like this necessarily means it was a tornado, but this one had some telltale signs.
What we do is we look for like projectiles. Do we see things in places they don't belong? Do we see twigs stuck in mortar, 2x4s wedged in the ground that we can't pull out by ourselves? And if we see that, that's the first key that we see that we're dealing with a potential tornado. So all the trees kind of curve going the same direction, you know, from right to left. And what we see that here with the trees kind of all coming this direction here.
And this is not a flat area. This twister went up hills, through valleys, and across the Pennsylvania Turnpike. The great reminder that anyone can experience a tornado.
You never move from Mother Nature, never move from a tornado. If you're in a valley or on a ridgetop, again, you know, both places are susceptible to be damaged by a potential tornado.
So the official number is 6 to 7 miles in length and more than 3 football fields wide at its widest point. And of course, 90 homes damaged, 30 of those completely destroyed. In Westmoreland County, Scott Harbaugh, Channel 11 News.
Our Team 11 coverage continues now with the aftermath near the town of Arona. Target 11 investigator Rick Earl discovered that at least 5 people there were hurt in the storm. One of them has an amazing story to tell us tonight. Rick joins us live with this survival story, and it's one you'll see only on 11. Rick.
Yeah, Darius, everywhere you turn here, there's destruction and debris. Take a look to my left. You can see lumber and trees down littering this yard. There's also some insulation here, some shingles as well, all over this place. Take a look to my right here. You can see this is actually a roof that was blown off of a building about 50 yards behind us. And if you look right across the street right there, you can see that trailer. It actually flipped over. Now, earlier today, I talked to a man who was inside a trailer just like that when the tornado blew him away.
I'm okay. I got very sore, hips and just stiff, real stiff.
74-year-old Joe Bukowski is recovering at his home in Arona after a harrowing experience Wednesday afternoon. Take a look in his driveway, the back of his pickup truck several feet in the air, and the camping trailer connected to the pickup now on its side. Bukowski was actually inside the trailer getting it ready for vacation when the tornado blew in and flipped it.
So the floor became the wall, and I went down and hit the cabinets. I flew across the trailer.
His wife Ruth rode out the storm inside the pickup truck.
The truck was rocking back and forth. I thought it was going to flip too. It didn't, luckily, but there was siding and shingles and chairs. Honest to God, I never saw anything like it in my life.
Ruth said she tried to get her husband out but couldn't reach him, so she called 911. Rescue crews had a difficult time getting to this area because of all of the trees that were knocked down. 2.5 hours later, they finally made it here. They pulled him to safety by cutting a hole in the roof of the trailer. Bukowski believes he's lucky that the trailer was attached to the pickup truck.
I could have kept rolling. It's amazing, 5,000, 6,000 pound trailer, and then you're just standing there and it just picks it right up and it turns it over like nothing.
Bukowski suffered a fractured vertebrae. He won't be going on vacation anytime soon, but says he will be okay.
I've never been near a tornado, you know, so it's something I don't want to be near again.
And Joe Bukowski was rushed to Westmoreland Regional Hospital last night where he was treated for some scrapes and bruises. Today, of course, he's recovering at home, and he tells me he's not so sure if he's going to get back into that trailer. That is the very latest reporting live near Arona. Rick Earl, Channel 11 News.
Chief Meteorologist Julie Bologna joins us now with a look at the storm's power and path.
And Julie, it was this time yesterday we were beginning to see all that damage.
That's right. We're getting the reports around 4 and especially by 5. A lot of folks are feeling the effects of it. But here are those tornado details. On the enhanced Fujita scale, got up to 2. That range is 111 to 135 miles per hour. That particular tornado in Westmoreland County had top winds at 120 miles per hour, a 6 to 7 mile long path, but only was on the ground for 1 to 2 miles. So what happens is you have these tornadoes, they touch down, lift back up into the cloud, then touch down again. But again, only in 1 to 2 mile path of destruction on the ground caused a lot of problems, not only for that tornado, but look at the widespread storm reports out there. As you can see, we did see areas getting golf ball sized hail and very strong winds. We'll talk more about that in a few more minutes, but now we'll send it back to you.
All right, Julie, we have a lot more viewer pictures and video online at WPXI.com. There's slideshows with hundreds of pictures. You can still send us your photos, and we'll also see the raw video there from Chopper 11, as well as video of the funnel cloud forming.
In other headline news tonight, a former Pittsburgh police officer is on the other side of the law, arrested in a prostitution bust. Channel 11's Renee Kaminsky explains the accusations new at 5 tonight. Renee.
Darius, I had a long talk with the chief of police this afternoon here in Moon, and he hopes that this arrest sends a strong message to the community. If you solicit sex or facilitate it in any way, even if you are a former law enforcement officer, you will be arrested. He is a retired Pittsburgh police detective. She is a convicted prostitute with a Florida address and a rap sheet an inch thick. Tonight, both 55-year-old Talib Kevin Gafour and 43-year-old Sabina Erlene Saylor are in the Allegheny County Jail, busted in an undercover sting in Moon Township on Wednesday.
We do prostitution stings out here in Moon Township. We're right beside an international airport. We have about 15 hotels, and we want to let people know that if you come out here, you're in jeopardy of arrest for prostitution.
According to the Moon police chief, detectives were checking this adult internet site when they spotted this ad soliciting customers in Pittsburgh. An appointment with Sally was arranged at this Moon Township hotel, and after an agreement on sexual services and in exchange of cash, Saylor and the man police say drove her to the appointment and provided his cell phone to set up the illegal act, were both arrested. I did some checking and found out Talib Kevin Gafour left the city police department more than a year ago. He retired following his controversial role in a city homicide case in which he testified against fellow police officers, testimony that brought an investigation by the DA's office. I found this YouTube video of Gafour defending a homicide suspect, Joseph Hall, and lashing out at investigating officers. And the chief tells me that the hotel management is really happy with this arrest. They don't want that kind of business. Both suspects tonight in jail charged with felony counts of promoting prostitution and criminal conspiracy. Reporting live in Moon tonight, I'm Renee Kaminsky, Channel 11 News.
And continuing coverage of the storm strike across western Pennsylvania. We're going neighborhood by neighborhood to put together more images from Chopper 11 of the damage.
How turning off the technology could be the key to a better night's sleep.
But first, cooking up trouble. Dangerous chemicals discovered in a home with children inside. We're learning what else investigators uncovered.
Cooking up trouble. We're there as police in protective suits raid a suspected meth lab. It was a danger to neighbors, but what's worse is that police say children were living inside of the home. Channel 11's Alan Jennings shows us what officers found in this morning in Apollo.
This is the house right here, 508 North 6th Street in quiet Apollo. Narcotics investigators spent hours carting out all kinds of chemicals and all kinds of drugs.
Here they are in protective suits, bagging and tagging the evidence.
They're suited up to prevent skin contact and inhalation dangers from what investigators call a mid to high level meth lab. The alleged mastermind of the operation, 39-year-old Brandon Watterson. One neighbor, fearing for her safety, agreed to talk if we protected her identity. If there were drugs in there, you're obviously glad they got them out of there.
Yep, because of my grandchildren, yeah.
When cops moved in to arrest Brandon Watterson, they found a child in the house with him.
We had a 4-year-old juvenile who was taken into protective custody and is currently in the custody of Children and Youth Services.
The DA told us the house was a cover for an ongoing meth lab and credited the state attorney general's office for lending its clandestine lab task force to help make the bust.
Investigation is ongoing and we anticipate additional arrests as the investigation goes forward.
Brandon Watterson's new home for now is the Armstrong County Jail. In Apollo, Alan Jennings, Channel 11 News.
And more details now on another meth lab bust earlier this month in Armstrong County. Back on March 4th, officers raided a home in Parks Township. Investigators say they learned about the operation involved in today's bust through evidence gathered in this case. 2 children lived in the home and several people were arrested.
One person's dead after a house fire in Venango County. According to our partners at the Derrick, the fire began early this morning on Cooper Drive in Oil City. A Channel 11 News viewer emailed us this video of flames shooting from the home. A second person was hurt.
Police arrest a suspect accused of calling in fake prescriptions in Kennedy Township. This is a photo of her. We're waiting for police to release her name. They say she used a doctor's name to call in painkiller prescriptions to this pharmacy. Police interviewed her in January, but she later got away. She claimed she was picking up the prescriptions for her sister.
It's not your typical burglary bust. Police say someone stole a baby monitor and disposable diapers 2 weeks ago from a home in Derry Township, Westmoreland County. The items are estimated at about $200. Right now, police have no leads.
Your severe weather Team 11 forecast in high definition.
Good evening. Much quieter out there right now compared to yesterday, when right now during this time we were going through severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings, and now it's much quieter. We don't have severe weather in the forecast tonight. We don't have the snow like we saw this morning. We have decreasing clouds and quiet conditions. You can see on Storm Tracker, Doppler 11 radar, that we're not looking at any precipitation just yet. We're going to get a break for at least a couple of days until we head toward the weekend. What we're looking at, clouds on the decrease tonight. Much colder weather, though. We're looking at lows in the teens and highs only in the 30s. Then I'm tracking that next storm system, giving us a chance at rain and snow late Saturday into Sunday. So we're going to keep that severe risk down to the low side with those decreasing clouds and quieter conditions. Certainly some very chilly temperatures headed our way. Right now we're seeing a little sun with a temperature near 40 degrees. Certainly much better weather to allow folks to clean up after yesterday's damage from the storms. And if you didn't have a chance to do it today, we're going to have decent weather into tomorrow to do just that. The winds right now out of the north and northwest at 13. Dew points on the low side in the teens as well. Check out the numbers right now. Franklin, you're only at 34. Clarion 36, Indiana at 37, Butler also in the upper 30s. Once you head down to Pittsburgh, we're right at 40 degrees here. Morgantown chilly down to 35 and Deep Creek at 27. So everybody feeling the chill tonight. We have high pressure building in. You can already see the clouds beginning to decrease. So as we head through the next couple of hours, we'll continue to see decreasing clouds. At the same time, we'll see lighter winds and falling temperatures. So by 9 o'clock, we're down to 29. By the morning rush tomorrow, we'll see sunshine, but you need your winter coat. 19 the low temperature at 7 a.m. Forecasting highs well below average. Typically, we see a high in the low 50s. Instead, tomorrow, down in the upper 30s at 39 degrees. Here's your extended forecast, the 5-day outlook. Dry with plenty of sunshine for Friday at 39. As we head towards Saturday, we'll be partly sunny. More clouds toward evening with a high near 40. Now, the next storm system, not a very strong one. It's well to the south of us, but it could be enough instability to give us a chance for some snow showers late Saturday night into Sunday. Then a little rain mixing in perhaps toward the afternoon with a high at 39. But even then, it's hit or miss activity at 30%. By Monday and Tuesday, we're back in the 40s and eventually getting up to the upper 40s as we head toward Tuesday with dry weather expected. Now back to you, David and Darius.
And Pittsburgh continues to shine as a hotspot for tourists and conventions. Visit Pittsburgh announced today they booked 472 meetings and conventions in 2010. They also anticipate these will bring in around $286 million into the city. Hotels also doing well. and they've seen a 15% increase in rooms sold since 2006.
Well, a lot of people may not have seen the tornado, but they did have hail.
That's right. We're checking with auto body shops that are already seeing cars that need to be repaired with damage. What you need to know if yours is one of them.
And we may be losing sleep thanks to our gadgets. Target 11 consumer investigator Robin Taylor uncovers how computers, smartphones, all of those things may be keeping us up at night. Well, it seems the key to a good night's sleep may be putting that phone or computer away.
New research shows technology is shortening your bedtime. Target 11 consumer investigator Robin Taylor here live to explain. Robin?
You know, it is so tempting to lounge in front of the TV or computer at night after a long day, but you probably didn't know those high-tech gadgets could prevent you from getting a good night's sleep. Sleep just isn't a priority when you're in Las Vegas because of the bright lights and entertainment offered on the famous Strip. It's the same reason many of us don't get enough sleep in our own homes.
You begin to have a 24/7 culture of entertainment, and these technologies have invaded the bedroom.
A new National Sleep Foundation poll finds almost 2/3 of U.S. adults say they aren't getting enough sleep, less than 7 hours on the average weeknight. Why? Almost everyone in the survey said they often used some kind of electronic device in the hour before bedtime, like a TV, computer, video game, or cell phone. More than half of teenagers polled said they spent that time texting.
Instead of turning them off, they leave the things on in case an important message comes through, and guess what? Many times those messages are interrupting their sleep even after they've fallen asleep.
Experts say the artificial light emitted from gadgets stimulates our brains, so we're not physically ready to sleep when we're supposed to. The majority of sleep-deprived in the study said the lack of quality shut-eye left them fatigued, moody, and unable to perform at maximum capacity the next day. Sleepiness also affected safe driving practices. About half the teens in the study said they'd driven while drowsy at least once in the past month. Robin Taylor, Channel 11 News.
All right, Robin, and the U.S. Postal Service announcing major job cuts as it deals with a decline in the number of people who actually use the mail. The USPS tells us it will eliminate 7,500 administrative and executive positions across the country. That includes about 2,000 postmasters. The Postal Service will also close 7 of its 75 district offices, none, though, in our immediate area. Well, police were able to track down a suspect who robbed a local family vacationing at Disney World.
And we learned how a stolen phone led to its owner and police right to the suspect.
The key to a good memory could be on your dinner plate. Right now, we'll show you the foods that will keep your brain healthy and find out how often you should eat them.
And continuing severe weather, Team 11 coverage of the storm strike with Chopper 11 over the affected areas. 60 more minutes of news is straight ahead.
Live, local, late-breaking. Broadcasting in high definition. Channel 11 News starts with severe weather Team 11 coverage.
From Chopper 11, you really get a sense of just how big and devastating yesterday's tornado in Westmoreland County was. Many of the victims still trying to wrap their heads around all this destruction. Well, this afternoon, the National Weather Service confirmed it was a tornado that hit.
And now the cleanup is underway. Here's the latest. At least 90 homes are damaged in Westmoreland County. Nearly 36 of those homes destroyed. There are reports of some injuries, but most not serious. It will take weeks to clean up the debris, much longer before then everything returns to normal. Channel 11's Rick Earl continues our live Team 11 coverage with what we saw from Chopper 11 after the storm moved through yesterday. Rick?
Well, Derek, trees and debris are everywhere. Take a look behind me. This is a roof from a nearby business that was blown over here. But I want to show you something amazing. If you take a look about 500 yards up that hillside right there, you see a white object. That white object is actually the back part of a tractor trailer. It was actually down where I am, and then it was blown up there when the tornado came roaring through this area. Now, we've been showing you these images from the ground, but right now we want to give you an even better view from Chopper 11. Take a look at Chopper 11 over this home. Its entire roof ripped off in the tornado's path. Now this property gives you a good look at how the tornado went straight through a house, then tore through the trees in the backyard, uprooting them. And for some places, it was more than just a roof. Entire properties were demolished, just debris left behind. Those are the images from Chopper 11. Chopper 11, of course, providing you the best vantage point, showing you the force of this tornado as it tore through these areas here in Westmoreland County and hit a number of communities in a widespread path in a matter of minutes, leaving behind this debris and destruction that people are now having to clean up today. That's the very latest, reporting live near Arona. Rick Earl, Channel 11 News.
And one of the first pictures of the damage from the storm strike came in from Hempfield High School during our coverage last night at 5:30. The damage so bad, school was canceled today. Channel 11's Lori Hoy shows you what's being done to get the students back in the classrooms.
Disaster recovery teams have been out here at the high school all day. This parking lot was covered with debris, but workers have been collecting it and putting it in trash bins, but the work is far from over. A day after a tornado tore a path of destruction, the cleanup is underway at Hempfield High School.
Today, it's really a period of assessing.
All Hempfield area schools are closed because of the damage, but the high school took the brunt of the storm. We talked to a senior student who stopped by our truck. She was at play practice outside when the tornado hit.
We could hear the roof starting to come in, and we could just hear the hail, and we all ran underneath into a dressing room underneath the stage and just sat there, and the lights went out and all these alarms started going off. The fire alarm was going off. It was horrible.
When we arrived early in the morning, debris is scattered everywhere. The field house is in shambles. Cinder block columns knocked over like dominoes. And at the football field, a scoreboard is twisted metal, while a light pole is dangerously leaning.
It was so scary. You just could hear everyone crying and screaming and praying.
Maintenance trucks and contractors have been in and out nonstop. We've also seen state police on constant patrol. One trooper told me they're looking for looters who are trying to grab scraps of aluminum. Meanwhile, we were there as officials with the National Weather Service, along with the Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator, get a close-up look at this incredible damage and will determine the strength of the tornado.
No one countywide was injured. We have no fatalities. This is absolutely a March miracle.
And I really want to commend our staff and the students for their involvement in that, in seeing that no one is injured.
The superintendent told me he's also grateful for the outpouring of help from the community. In Hempfield, Westmoreland County, Lori Hoy, Channel 11 News.
And the tornado also hit Realton, about 10 miles away. We talked with one woman stuck in the path of the storm who grabbed her kids and ran for cover.
We all curled in a ball and just prayed. Just prayed. I'm so happy we're alive.
Ahead at 6, Courtney Brennan has more of this emotional interview and takes us in for a closer look at the damage here. Channel 11 viewers are giving us another perspective of the storm damage. This is a photo posted on WPXI's Facebook page of damage in Realton. This is near the Realton Fire Hall. You can see the strong wind snapped a tree there. Many people are already reaching out to help victims. We want to make sure that you have this phone number. You can donate to the Red Cross by calling 724-834-6510 during regular business hours. Again, the phone number to help out. You see it there on your screen, 724-834-6510. We also have a mailing address and a link under the links mentioned section at WPXI.com.
The big hailstorm also damaged part of the National Aviary building on the north side of Pittsburgh. We found crews there today fixing the skylights. 5 windows were shattered in one of the buildings that contains tropical birds.
A couple cases it totally shattered the panels. So we had glass on our walkway, we had glass in some of the exhibit spaces. It was significant damage, and it certainly spooked the birds.
Unfortunately, none of the birds escaped. The exhibit remains closed for repairs, but should be back open by tomorrow. Our coverage of this major weather story continues online. There you can check out raw video of the storm, plus a slideshow of the storm snapshots. And new at 5:30, a Pittsburgh police officer gets thrown from his motorcycle near Station Square. Our crews at the scene tell us the officer was making a turn onto East Carson Street this afternoon when the sidecar clipped the curb. The officer wasn't seriously injured.